Hi, I'm Beth with TB Properties Buys Land. Today we're going to discuss inherited properties and a few things to have on hand when you're ready to talk to a land investor about selling your property directly to them. Okay, so one of the things that we specialize in here at TB Properties Buys Land is purchasing inherited property from people who have chain of title issues. Reason for this is it can often be very expensive and time consuming to write the chain of title or to clear it in order to list it. So if this property that you own has been passed down generation after generation, there's multiple heirs, there's deaths, things like that, and it's not really clear how the chain of title is passed down, it can be really cumbersome to navigate that. Working with a realtor, they're not going to want to list your property unless you have, clear title on the property. What does that mean? That means that you're going to have to spend possibly thousands of dollars with an attorney to get that taken care of, possibly pay for a survey, some research that might need to be done. And that's why we tend to work with people who have these heirship issues, okay? Because we're able to pay for that and purchase the property from them and move forward that way since they can't work with the realtor. So right now we're working with a couple difficult cases. The county doesn't even appear to know where the property is located. Okay, the landowners know where their property is because they've been out there as kids and that sort of thing. But we're really struggling right now in just trying to get a quote on a survey. The history of this property is so complicated that people are not wanting to get into doing the research in order to provide us a quote. Okay, so here's a couple things that can help us if you have a property that's kind of like that. All right, so if you have any past deed information on your property, that is extremely helpful. Or a survey is even better. Maybe even it's an old survey or it's an old plat of the property. No matter how old it is, we may still have to pay for a new one, but that can be helpful with the title company or even with the new surveyor in trying to get that taken care of. It could speed up the process for you, all right? It could also make the process a little bit more affordable, so we're able to offer you a little bit more money on your property versus us paying for, a very expensive survey. So if you have old deeds to the property, maybe it was like, the grandparent and they pass it down from the great grandparent. If you've got any of those deeds, any deeds that you've got, any history of the property, any paperwork would be super. The assessor's paperwork isn't super helpful because we can find that online. But the deed information, the survey information, plat information can be really helpful. Also, if this is passed down after multiple generations, having an idea of how it was passed down, knowing, maybe even writing that down for yourself to keep it straight. This was my great grandfather's property. He had the deed to it. Here's the deed. He was married to so-and-so. They had 12 children and here's the children and their grandchildren and so-and-so is dead and this and sort of thing. Because, just keep in mind that if this was left to somebody and they've had children, everybody, all their children and their children's children and so forth, all of them may have a right to the property, even if you've been paying property taxes on it for, 5-10 years. Now, every state and county is different. They have different laws about, inherited property. So we have to kind of go by that. But in the most difficult circumstances, we will need that information in order to, relay that to the title company and the attorney to try to make sure that chain of title is cleared so that, we can purchase the property from you, okay? We don't do, any kind of shady stuff here at TB Properties Buys Land. We provide you with a real simple purchase agreement. We offer to pay all the closing costs, which include those attorney fees. But we always close to a title company. One, they take care of that. But two, we just know that it's a safer transaction for you as the seller and us for the buyer and us as the buyer, okay? But sometimes when you've got these really cloudy, titles, it might take a little bit longer. So we're dealing with that right now. It's really kind of complicated. Thankfully, the seller has a lot of this information. Now we're just trying to find, a surveyor who's willing to put the time in to quoting it and move forward. So fortunately, I think we're going to have that be able to help them out and be able to sell their property, that just seemed unsellable earlier. Okay, so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And hopefully this will help you when it comes to working with us and you've got one of those, really complicated inherited properties.